I'm Sandy Peterson, and this is my son Grant, one of the more experienced players of Cthulhu Wars. We're going to talk about the strategies in detail. I'm going to talk about the exact abilities and spellbooks each faction gets.
I'll be talking about strategies for playing each of the factions. Recording, and you're ready when you are. Alright, I'm now going to go over some basic strategy for the Crawling Chaos faction. First, their major advantages. Number one, their mobility. Since for 1 power you can move a unit 2 spaces, this really lets you take advantage of areas that have just been weakened by a battle. For example, running in to seize a gate after a fight has cleared of other units, just fly in your own cultist and then summon a monster to protect it there. That's a great thing that Crawling Chaos can do that surpasses the ability of any other faction to do a similar thing. Another major advantage is that he has 2 methods of gaining power mid-round, and they do both require that Nyarlathotep be out, but doing 1,000 forms again and again to get power or to make others lose power, or hitting other Great Old Ones to get power in the middle of the round can really mess up other people's turns, just because you have more power than they anticipated that you would have. Now, suggestions for the first round for what Crawling Chaos should do. Probably the best course of action is to build a gate kind of remote, far away from anybody else, say down here in Antarctica or way over in North America, and then try to get your Capture an Enemy Cultist spellbook. And you might do this by summoning in a couple of Night Gaunts, and then flying them both down to make sure you could, say, capture this gate. For example, here you would initiate combat, eliminate the ghoul, and then, after the combat, capture this cultist, and you could just fly in another cultist to take it over. So that's a good suggestion for the first round. You'll end it with a spellbook, and you'll have an extra gate. Another way to do the first round, actually, is to just summon monsters and go out and try to slam on other people's gates that they build before they can sufficiently protect them. Okay. In the second round, the good thing to do is to try to get your 3rd gate if you didn't get it in the first round, and then just do what you can to get a 4th gate, whether by building your own or by bringing out monsters to just take it from another person. A great thing about the Crawling Chaos faction is that most of your spellbooks are things you actually want to do. Unlike, say, Black Goat, for her, almost all of her spellbooks are kind of things she doesn't want to do, like sacrificing cultists or spreading out. For you, you want to control gates. You want to control 3 and 4 gates. You want to capture enemy cultists, and you certainly want to summon Nyarlathotep. And then later on, once you have a pretty good power income, and say by using 1,000 forms to get extra power, if others aren't willing to sacrifice it, then you can do the 2 pay for power spellbooks and get those. And from there on out, you're pretty much set to keep on taking advantage of people's gates and doing rituals of annihilation to win. Choosing spellbooks. Probably the best spellbook to pick first would be Abduct or maybe Invisibility. The great thing about Nyarlathotep's units is that they are really good at defending, even if you just have one of them there. If somebody sends in say, a ghoul to try to kidnap a cultist, even along with one of their own cultists, then if they initiate combat, then you can just initiate combat even, and kill off the ghoul, and then, well, just summon a new Night Gaunt, and cultists will get scared off. And obviously, the Flying Polyp's invisibility power is also a great way to keep others from using their monsters to get you. Basically, as Crawling Chaos, you're pretty safe even if you're just protecting gates with a single monster. Now, Crawling Chaos is also very powerful if you have multiple Night Gaunts or Flying Polyps in one area. After all, imagine, for example, that Cthulhu were to come in and try to fight 3 Flying Polyps. Even if he brought along various monsters like his Deep One and, well, let's pretend these are both star spawns even, then watch how this would go. The 3 flying polyps use their invisibility power to neutralize all of his great monsters, and Cthulhu certainly has some of the best monsters. Then it's just 3 flying polyps. Sure, they're only rolling 3 dice, versus Cthulhu, who is rolling 6 dice and devours one of them, but really, Those 3 flying polyps, which only cost you 6 power, power-wise, are more efficient at fighting than Cthulhu's expensive army has been.
Yeah.
I'd suggest for your first couple spell books, having them be 2 of the monster spell books. And then just focus, at least at first, on just building those kinds of monsters, whether getting night gaunts and flying polyps, or night gaunts and hunting horrors, or even hunting horrors and flying polyps. After that point, you're probably going to be summoning Nyarlathotep, and you'll want your spellbooks to be Emissary of the Outer Gods or Thousand Forms. It's also not that bad to get Madness about midway through the game instead of waiting until later on. After all, once Cthulhu and his army comes out and they're really just smashing into other people's factions, then being able to decide where his army gets spread out to after a battle can really make him weak and make it difficult for him to regather his army. It really cripples Cthulhu, and it does the same to other factions too. So, weaknesses of the Crawling Chaos faction, and how to beat him. One problem is that he really doesn't have a super strong offense in the early game. Nyarlathotep is his real heavy hitter. This means that it's harder for him to steal gates later on unless he's actually sending Nyarlathotep to an area to take a gate away. So to beat him, don't just poke at his gates that are protected by, say, Flying Polyp or Night Gaunt. You have to really smash into him hard. Bring out your big guns, bring out lots of units too. Unit for unit, Nyarlathotep can really cancel you out, so bring more units than him and bring heavy hitting ones to take out his gates. That's how you have to hit him. Don't poke, punch. Also, killing Nyarlathotep is not actually particularly difficult to do, since he's often coming straight to your Great Old One to try to beat him up for Elder tokens. In this case, if you can, try to get more monsters into the area before the fight instead of just declaring battle on him. So that's a good way to try to fight Nyarlathotep. Early on in the game, steal his gates with large masses of units instead of just a dinky few, and later on, you just have to kill Nyarlathotep. Even though he gets bonuses for fighting against you and paying your Great Old One, you have to take him out.